All right, so this segment, or this section of the podcast, we're going to talk about the snow surfing revolution in North America. Japan's been on a kick. They've understood this for a long time.
Very, very long time.
Europeans just carve aggressively, and so that's a form of snow surfing. But in the U.S., everyone tries to market twin tip powder.
Yeah.
Fucking...
Everybody...
Or twin tip park more than anything, or the greatest fucking... marketed snowboard category, all mountain freestyle, the board that can do anything. Well, don't know where to put a board, put it in all mountain freestyle. Well,
so many people come into the shop and have no clue that you can actually ride switch on something that's not twin.
Yes,
shocking.
I know. I scared a few kids when I was doing cab 180s on my, oh wait, I can't say it's cab. It was a switch 180 because Chad Otterstrom will yell at me if I call it a cab 180. But I was doing a switch 180 with my my K2 Cool Bean, which has no tail.
Yeah, I was hitting rails on the K2 Cool Bean, and dudes are giving me really weird looks.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you hit a down rail with the K2 Cool Bean. But this year, with the product review series, I introduced a new category, best carving board, because a lot more companies are making carving boards.
Yeah.
Tom Sims Pro model is one, Nitro Wood Carver, you have the K2 Carver, stuff like that. And then you've got the Japanese brands. And this year, we're going to get Moss Snow Sticks in, which for anyone that's not familiar with this brand has been around since 1971. Long before Gentum and all that other stuff. So
the guy that started Gentum rode for Moss before he started Gentum.
Yes. So anyways, these guys understand, they still have a shape in their line from 1971. It's just modern technology building it, but they understand that you build these shapes and you surf them out, and some of them look like they're a powder shape and some of them don't. I mean, I rode the 184.5 with a 26 meter side cut radius.
Yep.
Like driving a Cadillac Eldorado. I mean, you start that turn, and by the time you hit the other side of the trail, you may have hit the middle of the turn. So you got to really flex the board and drive it back across. But I also rode a 148, I think, or it was a 151 in them. I don't know. It was the On Snow demo, which I don't do reviews from boards. I ride at demos because it's usually just go out and surf around with my friends and do shit like that. But they're sending us boards this year. Kevin, you've ridden some. I've ridden some. What do you think about them in general, just like that whole POW surf craze?
I think it's fantastic. It provides an entire way to ride a snowboard that we don't traditionally pay attention to in the Western markets. I mean, just hearing stories from some of the guys with some of the brands that I've worked with in the past that go over to Japan, and they're riding back up the lift with these guys, and these guys are all turning around, looking back down the hill and pointing at the groomers, and they're talking about their turns. That's an entire style to them, is turning, and that's what's kind of cool about a lot of these new kind of carving shapes and brands like Moss is they don't design snowboards that are good for just power, good for just carving. They design snowboards that turn no matter what the conditions are. They're gonna turn well, whether it's deep snow, soft groomers, firm groomers, anything. They're gonna turn good. So it's something I'm really looking forward to because I've been loving it. That's kind of where I've shifted almost my entire style.
Yeah, I was going to say, your whole riding style has drastically shifted from when we first met and then working together and everything on Angry. It's like, I think when I met you, your big board was a 152, I think? Or
probably. That was probably one of the biggest I owned when we first met, and I was basically a rail gypsy. All I did was rails.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times I rode with Kevin, he hit Boxzilla at Keystone. It was like 180 feet. I've never seen so many switch-ups on a rail in my life, but he made it to the end. I'm over there just trying to get straight down the damn thing, and he did it. But, my background, I come from the East Coast. I grew up riding really shitty icy half pipes, really boilerplate snow, where we were tuning our boards every day, just keeping razor sharp edges so we could turn. And when you learn to carve on ice, you have an appreciation for it. And I'd like to think that the Yagoons have had a bit of an influence in helping make carving look cool to people. And then you see more of these edits where people are turning, and then Karua and everything with their Yearning for Turning series has been great. So this whole paradigm shift that we have towards turning, and let's be honest, snowboarders and snowboarding is getting older. I mean, I'm from the golden age of snowboarding where we had the biggest group, and I'm going to be 35 this year. My whole thing now is self-preservation snowboarding.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the nice things about carving is it's almost zero impact. Like it takes definitely takes some strength to really be able to do what you see these guys doing these videos, because you are basically holding a power squat with more than your own body weight through a turn. It's not easy, but it's not impact either. So you're not really putting that much stress on your knees and ankles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And especially like these last few weeks here in Colorado, we've had a high pressure system that's kept all the storms at bay. So I mean, 55, 60-degree days, groomers and everything, you're out there, you need to go out and carve. So like one of the things that I always do when I'm testing a board is I like to see how it will carve and how aggressively I can center flex it, drive that arc of the turn, whether it's a park board, an all-mountain freestyle board, a powder board, whatever. Well, maybe not a powder board because it's a powder board. Why the fuck do you need to turn it on a groomer? But that's more...
Well, that's kind of the cool thing now is half the POW decks that I've owned in the last few years have been some of my favorite carving decks.
That's true.
You know, what I've been telling people is to make a snowboard float is easy.
Well, any snowboard should float.
Right,
I mean, if you make a snowboard that can't ride powder, you fucked up.
Yeah. But, so on top of that, like once you figure out how to make a board float like you want it to, that doesn't have nearly as much to do with the side cut as basically any other form of snowboarding does. So you can go put a super rad side cut onto a POW deck. It's not going to affect its ability to float and slash and ride in deep snow like the designer wanted it to, and then you get the added benefit of ripping hard cards.
I know, and you look at, I mean, one of my favorite boards in my quiver personally to ride is my Amplid Pillow Talk, which is a twin powder freestyle board, and I ride that on groomers more than anything,
right? Yeah,
because it rips and it's great in the park. So you know, it's one of those things. Or you look at the K2 Cool Bean, and you know, websites like the Good Ride like to tell you that you can only ride it in 12 plus inches of snow. That's bullshit. I ride that thing in more slush than anything and just carve.
Yeah, you can carve around the thing. Like, you just got to know where to put your weight and understand how to pressure edges, and that's kind of the issue, is those guys don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
And if you don't know how to dynamically carve and how to actually control your side cut and edges underneath your feet, then you're not going to be able to carve a board like that. Like, it's not the easiest board to carve, but it's totally doable. Like, if you're a competent snowboarder, you can get on it and do it.
Well, we saw that at the Copper on Snow demo after SIA when I brought back that 184.5, and that guy took it out after me, and he's like, I'm going to go as fast as I can and go straight, and this thing's going to rip. And I'm like, that's not the point of that board. That board is designed for elongated, drawn-out turns.
It's a long board.
Yes, it's a long board. Yeah. You are going to do a fucking carve that starts on the left side of the trail, and you're not going to go through the whole turn until you're back on the left side of the trail when you arc your way all the way around.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that it shows the difference. And when we were talking with Kenny G and Gofe and all those guys down there, they even said, they're like, you need to change your stance, you need to go more progressive, forward angled, you want to do it. And then that one rider of theirs that they had that hand...
Yeah, he had
an old skateboard that it was the tail of a skateboard that he had cut, and he had a hand grip on it, and he was putting that down when he was on his heel side edge so he could leverage a harder turn, and you see that. And when I was watching them ride along with Curtis Woodsman, and one of their... Or, no, it wasn't Curtis Woodsman, it was Eric Messier, that's right. It was Eric, he rides for them. And watching him draw out those turns and everything up there coming up the flyer lift was just, you know, you look at it and go, damn, that's what I want.
Totally different riding style. Like,
they see the mountains so different.
Yeah, it's an entirely different viewpoint, and you get on even your standard POW shape that may look a little bit like that from more of a Western style manufacturer. Their side cuts just aren't quite dialed to do that turn. They turn differently, and that's kind of the crazy thing about what Moss does, is you can take, like, I rode that 64 pin, and you can turn that thing into an 8-meter side cut.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not an 8-meter side cut, but you can flex that thing and bend it the right way to get it to turn as hard as you want to. And that's not something that really you can do with a lot of the Western style stuff. They're just not built that way.
No, and they don't. They really make it so you're more for I hate to say it, like a skidded turn or a...
It's just kind of a pointed. Like, you can grip and throw your edge into the snow, but it's more of a... You stay kind of on your same parallel line down the hill.
Yes.
And move across that line. That's your kind of Western style carving, whereas they see it as cutting back on a wave. Yes. That's the way that they carve.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they can load that tail up and really arc that turn, and that will go right around with what's going on. So you see that, but because they were at SIA Parts and Labor and the On Snow, and I was able to talk with them. And I remember specifically when you were there when I was talking to Kenny at the On Snow, and he said, well, we'd be interested in giving you boards for review. Do you think, because the way we do reviews is if you win an award, you get a year of free advertising. It doesn't cost anything to enter the product review series, but it's an added bonus that we could get a free year of advertising on a snowboarding website. And I remember him specifically asking me, do you think that our boards could win? And I just looked at him and I said, I will make a new category just so I can get on your boards. I will add the best carving board, which it works out because you look at the other brands that are adding more carving boards. You know, I've got stuff coming from Solomon, Burton, K2. I need to reach back out to ride Mervin, stuff like that. And they have boards that are just for carving now. Right. And so it makes sense to add this category, and I'm excited. Like, the Moss stuff is quality built. It's good. It's coming from China. Yeah. But the shapes are what really make it. They understand their side cuts, the shapes and everything, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So I think the U.S. is completely ready for a snow surfing revolution. I mean, the guys that are my age or my brother's age, he's 40, they just want to turn. Yeah.
And now it's acceptable. I mean, it's always been cool. Like,
well, except on hard boots. Wow. But we don't talk about those mono skiers.
No, we don't.
I saw one the other day. I just had to pick on him. It's just like, dude, your skis are stuck together. But whatever. Yeah. I'm an asshole, so it's okay. But yeah, so I mean, I look forward to seeing more of these unique shapes that I get to ride for the product reviews for you guys out there and everything. Because, frankly, riding a goddamn popsicle stick shape, 9 times out of 10, they all ride the fucking same.
Pretty much,
It's like, you know, it's getting to the point now where I can tell when a brand went to a factory and pulled shapes and specs out of a catalog and put it in there and be like, it's nothing original. Like, I've ridden the same board from 5 different companies at this point and been like, cool, this company did it a little bit better for some reason because the board's a little softer or stiffer or whatever. Yeah. But you're not making an original shape, and these guys are making original shapes. Right. And you know what? We've hit this point where snowboarding is diversifying. I mean, you know, and I think you look at the mainstream, like the spin to win isn't going to do it, but goddamn, I'll watch someone turn. Yeah. Those yearning for turning edits, I would fucking sit down and watch those. Like when we met Nicholas Wolkin and we're talking to him, I mean, I was just like starstruck.
Dude, yeah. I mean, he's one of the people right now out there changing snowboarding.
Yeah. Exactly. And so I wish he would answer his emails so we could get a board from him, but
that'd be nice.
That would be nice. Yeah. If anyone knows Nicholas Wolkin out there, you tell him to get a hold of us. Call us. We want your boards. So anyways, snow surfing revolution.
It's going to be good.
Get on it.
Yeah.